And if you haven't tried Red Crawl.
Good morning, everybody. YouTube, we are back. It is another week. For those of you just tuning in, you came in at a great time. We're about to do our introduction to e-bikes video. If you are new to e-bikes, or if you just needed to know more about them, if you had a question about them, this is going to be the video for you. We're going to try to cover all the basics here, what you need to know, and how you can make an informed decision about if an e-bike is something for you. Now, for those following the channel, you all probably saw how last week went with the Rev 1. We had pedal assist malfunction, then we had the off-road test go wrong. So we had a nice little wreck video. For those who haven't checked that out, go on to the page and Manny TV, check out the off-road wreck video. It was pretty bad, but we've got the Rev 1 back patched up, back in action. I'm back up in action, so we're gonna do this, and then you're gonna see more Rev 1 footage coming in the future. But to get back to things here, we're gonna start off with the, I know this isn't the Rev 1 here for those who follow the channel, don't worry. I have the Rev 1 in the other videos, but this is a nice basic e-bike to use for this video because it looks like a traditional bicycle. Now, there's many different styles of an e-bike. You have this mountain bike style here, which you've seen be the most popular thing in the past few years, is actually these fat tire style e-bikes. This is a 26-inch diameter, 4-inch wide fat tire, and these things are fun. There's a reason why these balloon tires are popular, because it adds suspension to the bike, makes it a more comfortable ride. It looks fierce, it makes for a better experience. But to not get too far off task here, let's start with the basics. So, what makes this bike different from a regular traditional pedal bike? We're gonna say the main components that make it different is, in a regular bike, this is your motor, and on this bike in particular, this is your motor. I know that looks like a wheel hub, but if you can look very carefully behind this brake rotor, that's actually a 750 watt hub motor driving this bike. And inside this sheath here, you have a 48 volt, 20 amp hour battery. We'll get to what those terms mean later on in the video. But just so you know, this battery is powering this motor so that in a hub motor, this wheel will go without pedals or a chain on the bike at all, just from pulling this half twist throttle right here. We're gonna get to all of that later, but just to give you a basic rundown on what makes this thing different. What also makes this thing different is you can get assist to your pedals while you pedal this bike to get more power than you would out of this motor right here. So, with that being said, one more component that goes into an e-bike that puts this and this together on this particular bike, it's hiding right in this box, and that's going to be your controller. Now, for lamest terms, the controller is like the brain or the spine. It's the nervous system of the bike, almost. It's the communication between the battery and this motor. It's going to tell this motor what to do, how much power to use. It's going to tell it how much power not to use, how much bottom end torque to give it, how much top end power. There's a lot of different ways you can control your bike, but to not overcomplicate things, those are the basics, everybody. So you've got this 750 watt motor, you've got this battery here, and you've got this controller right here, all of those things together will make this thing power itself with your help, of course. Now, we're gonna show you a little walkthrough of how to do that on the bike and how to operate this thing safely. Because there's a few things that you need to know that if you do not, you could have a pretty nice accident. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and go over some of the components of the bike here. So let's start at the basics. The things that stand out to you most that make this bike look different. As you can see, there's a display right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this power button on here. This is a Be Cool bike. We call her the Black Beauty. It's a good looking display on this bike. I want you to notice a couple things. Just like on a car display, you have a speedometer. This is your speedometer reading here. Obviously, when you hit this half throttle here or use these pedals, it's going to show you what speed you're going in, miles per hour, kilometers per hour, however you set it. Up here in the upper right corner is one of my favorite features on this particular e-bike, and it is a voltage meter. The reason why that's important is a lot of these bikes have, and my Rev 1 included, have like a little battery meter compartmentalized into like 5 pieces. And that's good until you get down to your last bar. But when you get down to your last bar, you don't know when is that last bar used up. And when am I going to be pedaling home, or when am I going to be walking home? With a voltage meter, this thing charges to 54 volts, 54.1 exact to be cool. To be exact, I'm sorry. To be cool, that's the bike. It's a 48 volt battery, so it charges up to 54 volts. This thing is dead and you're walking home at 39 volts. When you have a voltage meter like this, see everybody, right there, 53.7, that's the voltage meter. You can see exactly how much power is left in this bike and conserve it using these pedals here. And back to the display, we're gonna go right over here. You see these buttons, it's a little dark out here, but there's a mode button. That's the power button, that's the red. That's a mode button. This is an arrow up and down. That's gonna work your pedal assist here. Watch what happens when I press the up button. That's a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. We're gonna go back down to 0 for safety here. So what that does is those are the different levels of assist that the bike will give you if you ask for it. So in level 1, I can pedal this bike. It's going to feel like somebody else is helping me, or there's a strong tailwind pushing me when I pedal. That's going to get you about up on this bike about up to maybe 8 to 10 miles an hour. Pedal assist 2 maybe up to 15, 18 in 3, 20 to 25 in 4, and pedal assist 5 is going to get you all the power, unlock all the power of the bike. This particular bike goes to 28 to 30 miles an hour. And the pedal assist 5 with these nice long cranks here, it is a breeze to pedal. It's a lot of fun. You feel like a giant superhero pedaling this thing up hills. I live in Colorado here. There's plenty of mountain roads that this thing will just fly right up, because 750 watts, which is the legal limit of an e-bike motor in most states here in the United States. It's plenty of power to push this uphill, especially if you give it help with the pedals. So pedal assist 5 is going to have you going pretty fast. Pedal assist 1 is what you're going to use when you want to conserve power. If you think you only have 5 miles left in the bike and it's 7 miles home, help it out with that. Help the motor out with your feet and you'll make it. You can almost double the range of your bike of just using the throttle if you mix up the pedaling with it. That's part of what makes an e-bike fun. The other part that makes it fun, which is obviously something I get to enjoy out here in Colorado with this mountain bike. There's tons of mountains out here. What makes it fun is being able to tackle roads in hills that you normally wouldn't be able to do under your own power. This motor right here makes that possible. So that's your basic intro there. Now to get into the pedal assist here. There's two types of pedal assist. You've got sensors down here that pick up. On this bike, it's called a cadence sensor. So all it needs to do is sense that these cranks are spinning around, and then it's going to automatically give the power bike. For safety, it's usually about a rotation and a half to 2 rotations before the power comes in. But just so you know, on other bikes, it might come in right away. And that is definitely a safety issue. Make sure you keep your bike. We're going to do it right now. We're going to turn this bike back off. If you are not on the bike, please keep the bike off. That will keep you from whiskey throttling. Especially if you have gloves on like this, that leather can catch this half throttle sometimes. And then you're going to take off unexpectedly. And that doesn't usually lead to fun things. Same thing with these pedals here. If you get on this bike here and these cranks are you start getting these things forward, some of these bikes, it's going to take off on you. So always be aware of your pedal assist level. Try to keep it at 0 for safety if you're not going to use it, or if you're inexperienced. Always keep aware of safety and keeping your power off until you know you are ready to go on this bike. The other things are pretty normal functions that you can find on any other level of bike. You've got nice hydraulic brakes here. Disc brakes front and rear. These are 180 millimeters on here. You've got this quick release here to make this front wheel very manageable. Both these tires are flatted out, by the way. One thing you want to know about e-bikes is as soon as you get it, you want to put flat out in your tires. And that will definitely take away your flat tire anxiety. So, I'm all over the place here. Let's get back to the pedal assist. You also have what's called a torque sensor. So on a torque sensor, what's going to happen is when you turn that crank, the bike is going to go, but it's only going to give you as much as you give it. A lot of people prefer that because it makes you feel like you have more control over what you're doing. If you only put light pressure on the cranks, you're going to get light speed and light power. The more torque and pressure you put into cranking those pedals, it's going to give you more power in proportion to how much torque you put into there. People have their preferences depending on what they're looking for. Here's another accessory here. We got the nice little alarm here. That's off of Amazon. We have another video. It's going to have the mods on all of the bikes here though. But as I come across it, I'm just going to show you. It's a nice little mount for a water bottle or Bluetooth speaker or LED lights. Right here, another feature we've got. This is a seat post suspension. I always thought that these were a joke, but it's not a joke. This thing is pretty awesome. It feels like it's working when you hit those bumps. This thing doesn't feel them for you. Part of the suspension, like we mentioned before, these fat balloon tires here. These things, especially if you keep them at around 20 psi or whatever the manufacturer tells you, keep it at the lower end for comfort. If you want to get better range and speed, keep it on the more inflated end. You've got nice knobs in here for grip. This thing does pretty well off-road. It is by no means a dirt bike, but it is fun. You've got a tail light here with working turn signals. No turn signals in the front, but you do have a working headlight up front. We already went over the hydraulic disc brakes. We've got quad hydraulic disc brakes here. That is an important feature on a bike because on a pedal bike, can you get to 30 miles an hour? Yes, but you don't stay at 30 as much as you probably will on this bike here. You've got this nice padded seat. That helps with the suspension seat post. Then you've got suspension in the front here. That's a normal feature obviously you find on a bike, but it makes these bikes very comfortable. The preload adjustment. This is a very standard Shimano 7-speed gear system. There's a reason you see this in all the e-bikes. They're very reliable, very simple, but they work. There's your derailleur back here. You've got the nice fast gear. That's where it stays most of the time. You want to pull up those hills, get down into those lower gears. So those are the basics there. See a lot of accessories here. You can really personalize your bikes here, make them your own. You got racks, bags, all kinds of stuff. But like I said, that's for another video. But you can really have a lot of fun and change your life on this thing. If you live in an urban area, this is a way to get through traffic. This is a way to get yourself back in the saddle if you're older or injured or have any kind of issues that make it harder for you to use your leg power or to get on a bike. This can get you back, seeing things in a different way. Sitting on two wheels and floating through beautiful sunny Colorado is a lot different than sitting in a cage in traffic. Going to the grocery store can be a lot more fun than it used to be. All right, so everybody, so those are the basics. Just one more thing to cover here before we close up this video is the different levels of power that you can get out of here. Like I mentioned in the beginning, we got 750 watts coming from this motor here. You can go down to a 500 watt motor. There's 350 watt motors. There's 250 watt motors. I know the laws in like the UK might not let you have, I think, bigger than a 250 watt motor. Definitely check up on that. I'm not sure I know what I'm talking about. But here in the States, I know for most states, 750 watts is your magic number. And then we also have a class level for the e-bikes. Class 1, 2, and 3. So this is something that you definitely want to check your local laws and ordinances, because this definitely does vary depending on where you live. But generally speaking, a class 1 e-bike is going to have no throttle on it at all. It's going to only have pedal assist, usually one of the smaller motors, and I believe they only go to like around 20 miles an hour. A class 2 e-bike can, using pedal assist, normally go up to 28 miles an hour and have a throttle that takes it to around 20 miles an hour. And then a class 3 e-bike is going to, I believe, have pedal assist and throttle that take you to 28 miles an hour. Now there's obviously a lot of bikes within a lot of different ranges, some slower, some faster, but just to get you a gist of how you can tailor make one of these things for yourself. If you just want a little help, a little power, or you just want to dabble into the e-bike world, there is a bike out there for you. If you want a lot of power, or you're a heavier rider like myself, you're gonna need more power off the jump, go with something like this. But go to your local e-bike shop. We have a couple here in Colorado, in the city, out of the city. Try to find something local and go and ride some bikes and see what you like and figure out what is the right fit for you. That is the best advice I can give you as far as those go. Now, for you to see where this is going, why you would want to get into something like this, imagine having a supercar or a race car or a race bike where every time you wanted to race, you could just go on your phone and turn it into a race car right at that second. But then when you're fighting traffic or you're commuting to work, you can turn it back into an economy car and get the best gas mileage ever. Try to wrap your mind around that concept, and that, folks, is the beauty of these things. The tailor customization is only getting started, especially here in the United States. So keep asking questions. Please hit the comments below if there's anything you want to know. If you want to see me ride this bike, if you want to see anything or know anything else about this bike or any of the other bikes that I'm going to show you, please comment and question below. Anything you want to know, learn through me, I've experienced it. I will pass that experience on to you. Questions, comments, anything you want to say, leave it below. But thank you everybody for tuning in, and we're gonna have more content coming for you to let you know about where the beautiful world of e-bikes is going. Thank you much, everybody, for watching Manny Reed TV.